Hello, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host with the biggest nose, JC Courtside, coming at y'all today on Monday, February 9th. I am sorry in advance, podcast listeners, TikTok listeners, Twitch listeners, YouTube listeners. I am sorry for being gone all last week. If you guys were wondering where I was at, I was incredibly sick. I had a horrible flu. It was the worst I've ever felt in my entire life. You would know this if you were in my Discord server because I was talking with my community throughout the entire time I was sick in there. I know it came out of the blue. I really wanted to pump out a bunch of content for the trade deadline, but unfortunately, I was just way too sick and I was unable to do so. Now, bear with me. I'm probably going to be running out of breath for the most of this episode. I'm also going to be coughing a little bit. I'll try to move away from the mic, but we are back. We are 99% healthy. And we have a lot to discuss. Obviously, we missed the entire trade deadline. I'm not going to go too far in depth on the trades themselves. More so, I'm going to be discussing what I believe in each team after those moves. We're going to be talking about some streaks that are going around in the NBA right now, East Coast, West Coast. And on top of that, we are going to be finishing today's episode with a over or under segment where I need your guys' help. I'm going to say a topic and you guys are going to let me know whether you are up or down. Sorry, not over or under. Whether you are up or down on that topic. Now, guys, again, I would like to apologize. I did not want to miss all last week, but today's episode is going to be a fun one. Okay. If I'm lacking any sort of personality, just know I am trying my hardest, and I'm also trying to preserve some of my voice because I am going to the Hornets-Pistons game tonight, all right? We'll be talking about the Hornets a lot this episode, so bear with me. Podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. TikTok viewers, YouTube viewers, be sure to drop a like, subscribe, follow, do all that jazz, and Twitch chat. Oh, Twitch chat. Guys, y'all know all you got to do is sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. All right, guys, let's get started with what the hell happened in the time that I was gone. What the hell happened? We got some stuff. Let's start with some trade deadline stuff. I'm not going to go over all the minuscule trades, but we will be going over a lot of the important stuff, right? We will be discussing that. So we're going to start off by saying Anthony Davis to the Washington Wizards. That deal involved Anthony Davis going to Washington in an 8-player deal. The Wizards got Davis, Jaden Hardy, D'Angelo Russell, and Dante Exum. Now, apparently, as of now, the Wizards have waived Dante Exum as he rehabs. Anthony Davis is not going to play a single second this season for the Wizards. And D'Angelo Russell was just told yesterday to not report to the team. So there will be no D'Lo. D'Lo is not attached to the hip of Anthony Davis, apparently. He is not going to be reporting to the Washington Wizards, and I can't say I blame them. Hardy's a pretty good young talent, so he's going to be getting minutes probably next year. James Harden. It was honestly a really rapid trade. Now, I talked about all of these trades in my Discord server while I was gone. I talked about all of them. Just back and forth with my audience in my Discord server. But some of you guys didn't get my actual input on these trades, so today we'll be giving my input on them, okay? James Harden randomly said, I don't want to be here. But then James Harden came out and said, wait, I never said that. I want to be in LA. And then they traded him to Cleveland. Apparently that was his place he wanted to go. It was a pretty much one-to-one swap for Darius Garland, except the Cavs also sent a 2nd-round pick. Harden is now in Cleveland, and I watched the first game of him in Cleveland, and it was in Sacramento, and Harden basically sealed that game. Harden hit back-to-back threes and sealed that game. Now it was against the Sacramento Kings, but still, already it looks like Harden is fitting seamlessly into this team, and I think, to be honest, this was a very smart trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers. I'll get into that a little bit later on when we talk about the storylines that are going around the NBA. I think it was a great trade for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Obviously, we all know his playoff history. We all know his shortcomings, but we're still going to be talking about it because at the end of the day, Darius Garland was hurt. He's been hurt. Darius Garland in the playoffs was bad last year. On top of that, he was also hurt. So yeah, we got some stuff to talk about. Also, Jaren Jackson Jr. went to Utah, which signaled Memphis was rebuilding. In fact, they kept Ja Morant because they know Ja Morant has zero value. They weren't getting anything for him. And in fact, on top of all of that, I think they believe that they can still tank with Ja Morant because he's either hurt or he sucks. So yeah, I mean, 19% shooter from three is not going to win you that many games as a starting point guard. Yeah, man, that was a great trade for the Utah Jazz. They got some defense added into their no defense team. And when I tell you guys no defense for the Jazz, I mean actually no defense. Like the worst defense we've seen in like 60 years in the NBA. They do not play on that side of the court. They only play on offense. So it's a no wonder why they're a fun team to watch. But man, they just give up bucket after bucket. So hopefully Triple J can add a little defensive identity to that squad. And then the final big trade that happened was pretty soon before the deadline. It was Ivica Zubac to the Pacers. Now, there's some nuances with that pick. They gave up their 2026 draft pick, but only if it falls from 5 to 9 in the draft, which is a high possibility. In case you guys don't know, the Pacers will keep their pick if it's 1 to 4 or if it's 10 plus. I got to be honest, everybody. The Pistons fell to the 5th pick 3 years in a row. The Pistons had Cade Cunningham. They were still the worst team in the NBA. And they should have gotten Victor Wembanyama that next year. But the Pistons fell to the 5th. And they picked Jaden Ivey. And then the Pistons were the worst team in the NBA again. So they should have got the number 1 pick. Instead, they fell to 5th. Or sorry, they got Men Thompson in the Victor Wembanyama trade. They fell to 5th and got a Sar Thompson, not a Men. They got a Sar Thompson. And then the Pistons were the worst team in the NBA and had the longest losing streak in NBA history. And they were the worst team again. And what do the Pistons get? The 5th pick again, getting Ron Holland. Now, all those picks are good, but it's not Victor Wembanyama. So this is what I tell y'all. Like, they could easily fall to the 5th pick. It's happened to the Pistons 3 years in a row. Why can't it happen to the Pacers? So if it falls and they lose that pick, that's a big trade. That's a big trade for the Indiana Pacers because they could really use that thing. So we'll see. I do like Ivica Zubac on the Indiana Pacers. Hopefully when Haliburton comes back, we can see the true potential of that. But if they lose their pick, I don't like that trade. If they keep their pick, that's an incredible trade. Some other notable moves. Bulls traded Nikola Vucevic finally to the Boston Celtics for Anthony Simons. Great trade for the Celtics. They get a stretch big that will shoot infinite threes. Looked good in the 2 games that he's played for them. Unfortunately, they fell to the Knicks. But Nikola Vucevic, I've told everybody, he is the worst defending center in the NBA. And it's not even close. Like, it's not even close. I would take prime Greg Monroe's defense over Nikola Vucevic's defense in the paint. So hopefully that doesn't really impact them too much. I don't see them finishing games like with the last 7 minutes of a game. I don't see Vucevic coming in unless they need it like a game-winning shot, and then he'll be a threat to score as well. You can't cover for him as well as you think you can. Derek White, Jaylen Brown, they can do their thing. Ugo, they can do their thing, but you can't cover as much in today's NBA when you have a 7'2" guy that he's probably guarding. So we'll see what happens there. The Bulls also get Jaden Ivey from my Detroit Pistons. They also got Mike Conley, but they waived him. They got a bunch of guards from this trade deadline. Jaden Ivey already has a highlight reel play for the Chicago Bulls. I don't know. I can describe it for the podcast listeners. He basically pounded his feet leading up from the entire full court, just trying to clear the way. And then he absolutely football spikes this pass into Anthony down low, and he lost the ball. And then he proceeded to put his hands up in the air after he didn't catch it. Now, I watched Jaden Ivey. I watched every single second of Jaden Ivey this year. That's what he does. I've tried telling everybody that it's not a matter of volume. It's the matter of that Jaden Ivey lost all his capability of confidence in the NBA now. I'm going to miss him. It's really sad that the Pistons traded him, but I'm not going to miss him as a player. Jaden Ivey had a great 30 games last year. And when he returned this year, all he could do is shoot threes. And, you know, if that's his career path, that's fine. But Jaden Ivey doesn't play defense. Jaden Ivey does not facilitate. His best playmaking year was his rookie year, and he's regressed every year since then. Monty Williams was playing Killian Hayes over him. And then when he was having his career year, Cole Anthony ruined him. So Jaden Ivey has had poor circumstances over and over and over again happen to him. But he can't defend, he can't play make, and he can't dribble. And that is not an NBA player, unfortunately. So we'll see what happens to Jaden Ivey. I wish him luck. I truly, like, out of anybody around the entire NBA, I hope Jaden Ivey can do well. He's scoring the same amount of points that he did in 14 minutes for us in 35 minutes for the Chicago Bulls. So it's not looking great for Poison Ivy, unfortunately. And everybody that's seen that Jaden Ivey Twitter account, that's not Jaden Ivey, just so everybody's clear. That's not Jaden Ivey. A guy paid for a check mark. That's not Jaden Ivey, just so everybody's clear. That is not Jaden Ivey on Twitter. That's a fake account. A lot of people don't know that. In fact, none of the Bulls fans know that, but that is a fake account. Pistons fans are telling you that is a fake Twitter account. It's so corny that you can just buy a blue check mark and then put a profile picture of somebody and everybody thinks that you're real. But yeah, I wish Jaden Ivey some luck. I don't see him playing to his standards anymore. It's sad. On top of that, Bulls sent Ayo Dosunmu to Minnesota. Great trade. Great trade. They gave up on Rob Dillingham, but that's okay. Ayo's going to look really, really good for this team. They finally have somebody that can defend and play make on the perimeter. So that's great. Jared McCain got traded from Philly to OKC. Huge pickup for OKC. I mean, they just win trade after trade after trade. If you're trading to Sam Presti, just know you lost that trade. I don't care what the return is. You lost that trade. So shout out Jared McCain getting traded to OKC. They need a point guard right now because Shea is out. Warriors finally freed Jonathan Kuminga, as well as trading Buddy Hield to Atlanta for Tingus Pingus. Horrible trade for Golden State Warriors. It doesn't make any sense to me. Horrible trade. They couldn't get Giannis, so they got Tingus Pingus, and that's horrible. Yeah, that's just not good. It's just not good. I also want to give a special shout out to a franchise out there, the Sacramento Kings. It's not in my notes, but I just got to talk about them real quick. The Sacramento Kings had one goal at the trade deadline, okay? One goal, and it was to shed some of their salary. That was their one goal. Get rid of some money. So the Sacramento Kings did the obvious thing and got more money on their books. Now, I need you to understand what I just said. They had one goal. Everybody knew. Shed salary. That was their one goal. Get off Schroeder. Get off DeRozan. Get off Levine. Get off Sabonis. Get off somebody that makes money. Get off Monk. And what did they achieve? They added more money. They traded Schroeder and Keon Ellis, the one player who had value on their team. And Keon Ellis, Schroeder got passed around like the blunt he is. And they added more money in DeAndre Hunter. More money. The Sacramento Kings doing Sacramento Kings things. They added more money to their books. And you got a worse player in DeAndre Hunter. Cavs fleeced. Cavs did a great trade. The Sacramento Kings are fucking idiotic. I apologize for my French. Horrible. What else? Lakers got the Nard dog. Lakers got Luke Kennard from Atlanta for Gabe Vincent. I watched the Lakers game with Luke Kennard. They got some great playmaking, some great shooting. In case you guys don't know, Luke Kennard has the highest three-point percentage in NBA history. That's not a typo. In a minimum amount of shots, Luke Kennard has the highest three-point percentage in NBA history. Now, there's some reasons behind that. As a Pistons fan, I can tell you about Luke Kennard. Hawks fans in their half season can tell you about Luke Kennard. Clippers fans can tell you about Luke Kennard. Let me tell you about Luke Kennard. The reason he has the highest three-point percentage in history, there's two reasons. One, he's a good shooter. But two, Luke Kennard's release is the slowest in the NBA. As far as a three-point shooter goes, it is the slowest in the NBA. So because it's slow, Luke Kennard only takes wide open threes. Go look at Luke Kennard's stats. Go look at Luke Kennard's attempted shot diet. They're always wide open. Now, wide open is within 5 feet, there's nobody in the vicinity. So, Luke Kennard, the good things about him is he can play make, secondary play make, and he can hit threes. That's what the Lakers needed. The unfortunate part about Luke Kennard is that he plays some of the worst defense you could ever see in the NBA. The Lakers needed defense, and they traded their one of their 3 defensive guys in Gabe Vincent, who's been horrible offensively, for another offensive firepower guy in Luke Kennard, who can't play any defense. Another big pickup is the Knicks. They picked up Jose Alvarado from the New Orleans Pelicans. Great trade for the Knicks. Great trade. Jose Alvarado is going to be spectacular for them. You already saw it in the Boston game. I think you're going to see a lot of lineups of Brunson and Alvarado. While undersized, they play bigger than they are. Shout out Jose Alvarado. He's free from his shackles that were New Orleans. I think he's going to thrive in New York. He's also from New York. So I think on that first game, he's about to get the loudest applause you've ever heard from a backup player. Shout out Jose Alvarado. He deserves it. And then finally, Chris Paul was traded to Toronto. They told him don't report. So the Clippers deported Chris Paul, and the Raptors said, don't worry about it. We don't want him either. Now, players who didn't get moved, Giannis, he stayed in Milwaukee. In fact, he stayed in Milwaukee and also signed with Kalshi, a prediction-based gambling website. So Giannis, that jersey that I have behind me, that's coming down. Not because he's signing with a gambling company. I have a lot of gambling companies' sponsorships lined up. And I tell you guys straight up, don't gamble, okay? Don't gamble. It's bad. It's not good for your money. I will take their money, though. You bet your biscuits I'm going to take their money. I'm not taking that jersey down because he partnered with Kalshi. I'm taking his jersey down because Giannis at this point, and I'm wearing a Giannis Antetokounmpo hat right now from his shop in Greece. I bought this in Greece. Giannis lately has been a fucking cornball, and I'm not a fan of what he's doing lately. I want to leave Milwaukee. Wakes up the next day, I don't want to leave Milwaukee. I want to leave Milwaukee. I don't want to leave Milwaukee. I want to leave Milwaukee. I don't want to leave Milwaukee. So Giannis Antetokounmpo, he's enjoying this. He's enjoying being talked about. He's enjoying the news headlines. He's enjoying all of it. And then on top of that, you are an NBA player. How are you partnering with a prediction-based gambling site? You are an NBA player. How is that legal? David Stern, I know you're looking up at us right now, but I know you're rolling in your grave. David Stern would be so disgusted by what's happening right now. David Stern, I'm sorry, man. It's disappointing, man. It's disappointing. On top of that, John Morant didn't get moved. On top of that, Tyler Hero didn't get moved. In fact, we'll be talking about Miami shortly. Let's go over some other headlines, other stuff happening right now. Injury replacements in the All-Star game. Alperen Şengün, who called a female referee a bitch multiple times, an effing bitch, and you are such a effing bitch. I'm not a fan of Alperen Şengün, but he replaced injured Shai Gilgeous-Alexander on Team World for the All-Star game. It's his second consecutive All-Star selection. I think I can speak for everybody, including my Rockets fan in the Twitch chat. Alperen Şengün is a loser. We don't call women bitches around here. It's 2026. We respect women. Let's talk about the three-point contest. Devin Booker, Con Knips, Damian Lillard, Tyrese Maxey. Hold on, Damian Lillard. That's right. Damian Lillard, who is suffering an Achilles injury right now, is participating in the three-point contest. So that should be fun. Tyrese Maxey, Donovan Mitchell, Jamal Murray, and Crazy Eyes Bobby Portis. Okay? Now, I'm not going to talk about the dunk contest. I don't think there's anything to talk about. We won't be there. I was going to watch it because Jalen Duren said he was going to be in it. And, you know, I got to watch Jalen Duren, his massive arms, his sexy jawline, his massive stature of a man. rip the rim off the backboard, but unfortunately, he has knee soreness, so he will not be participating. In fact, we don't even know if Duren is playing tonight. Let's see, what else is missing? Stephen Curry will be missing, he may miss the All-Star game. He's probably not going to. He's dealing with a lingering knee issue. So they're considering holding him out for the entire Golden State, for the entire All-Star weekend. Now, Cam Thomas, he got waived by the Nets, but picked up by the Bucks. I'm not talking any further about that. Cam Thomas, you guys know my opinion of him. He's a real ball ends here kind of guy. And there's not much I really want to talk about as far as he goes. Now, there's some amazing historic streaks that I want to talk about now that I have in my notes, but I will be talking about that a little bit later. Just to tell you how the conference is shaping up, the Eastern Conference right now, the Pistons are 5 games ahead of New York and Boston, that's a big lead. On top of that, they have the same amount of losses as the Oklahoma City Thunder. I got to say that one more time. The Detroit Pistons have the same amount of losses as the Oklahoma City Thunder, the team that we thought was going to beat the Warriors 73-9 record. The Pistons have the same amount of losses as the Thunder, which is just, that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. We'll be talking about streaks here later on, but now after all of that, guys, now that we've caught up in all the news that have happened, okay? Let's talk about a couple things, all right? TikTok, if you guys are enjoying this episode, be sure to swing on into the Twitch stream, guys. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. The link is in my description. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. Chase, Moppin, Bry. Guys, we haven't been live in a week. We were sick all last week, so we would love to have y'all leave the TikTok stream and come through to the Twitch stream now that the show is amping up and ramping up. We were gone all last week due to a flu. We do this Monday through Friday at 9 a.m. Eastern. And you guys would have known where I was all last week if you guys were in my Discord server. So join the Twitch and then join the Discord. I see Bry said he's going to come through to the Twitch stream. Awesome. I love to hear that. Chase and everybody else on the TikTok. I hope to see you guys come through to the Twitch and join our community. All right. Drop a follow and let me know what team you support. Now, let's start with some headlines. Guys, when I left y'all, when I was sick, Friday, January 30th, there was a team that I mentioned. They were on a 5-game winning streak at that point in time. And it was their first 5-game winning streak since 2016. Well, this same team right now is on a 9-game winning streak. Not just that. It is their longest win streak since 1999, in the year where they went on 10 straight. 10 straight. Excuse me, guys. Sorry. I mentioned that I'm still lingering with this flu. So I might have to cough a couple times. Let's talk about your Buzz City Charlotte Hornets on their 9-game winning streak, their longest win streak since 1999. I talked about this team before I got sick, and now I'm talking about this team while I'm recovering from being sick. The Charlotte Hornets, ladies and gentlemen, they are on a 9-game winning streak. Let me just go through my notes right now. The Hornets are on a 9-game winning streak, their longest since 1999. This is legitimately historic for the franchise. Their current record is 25-28. They are 4.5 games out, I believe. 4.5 games out from a playoff spot. No, I lied. 5.5. They are 5.5 games out of a playoff spot. The Charlotte Hornets are, I think, 13-1 with their current starting lineup. LaMelo Ball is averaging 19 points per game. He's finally healthy. Brandon Miller has stepped up as the star of this franchise. And I talked about him at the start of the season. I said, if Brandon Miller can stay healthy all season long, I expect him to be up for a candidacy of most improved player. Brandon Miller, I said, you guys can look back at my old episodes during last summer. I said, Brandon Miller has potential in being an actual superstar in today's league. I've watched this guy cook. I have watched this guy score the bucket effortlessly. I have seen this guy turn into a legitimate two-way star, right? And what he's doing right now is absolutely beautiful. He's leading this team. He's got a bag. He's got moves. He can score. He can defend. He can do everything. The only issue is his injuries. But guess who's been healthy this last 9-game winning streak? This entire starting lineup has been. Kon Knueppel as a rookie is averaging 18 points per game, ranking third in the NBA in made threes this season, behind only Steph Curry and Donovan Mitchell. Kon Knueppel is averaging 8 3-point attempts a game. That is the most by any rookie ever in the history of the NBA. Miles Bridges is also averaging 18 points per game. Now, some quality wins during this win streak. They beat the number 2 seed Spurs. They beat the Rockets by 10. They crushed Denver by 23. They beat Denver by 27 before the streak started. They also acquired Kobe White from Chicago, but he won't play until after the All-Star break because of a calf injury. And up next, the Hornets play the Pistons tonight in Charlotte, which I will be attending. I will be in attendance for that game. And I was just told that Ron Holland will not be playing due to personal matters. And Jalen Duren is also questionable for this game. It could be his third straight missed game because of a knee soreness. So all I got to say is we will see. If you guys want my prediction on who's going to win this game, there's one reason I can see the Charlotte Hornets from winning this game. One reason. And it's 3-point shooting. If the Hornets hit 15 plus threes, the Pistons will not be winning this game. Because there's a couple things why the Charlotte Hornets are playing so incredibly well right now. In the last 9 games, the Hornets are leading the NBA in every advanced metric in the NBA. They're leading defensively. They're leading offensively. They're also attempting 40 threes a night. 40. They're attempting 40 threes a night. And they're shooting 40% from those shots. I got to repeat myself. They're attempting 40 threes a night and they're hitting 40% as a team. The Pistons have one player on the entire team that can shoot 40%. They have their entire team averaging 40% from 3. They're also leading the NBA, they're top 5 in the NBA in free throws attempted, so the refs are respecting them. They are number 3 in rebounds throughout this streak. They are number 4 in assists during this streak, and they are number 6 in steals. So this team right now, they're playing super well. But here's the thing. You guys might be wondering, are they shooting incredibly well? Is that why they're winning? Well, that's part of the reason. Now, Hornets fans, don't start throwing your tomatoes at me because they have a similar streak to what the Chicago Bulls did when they won their first 5 games at the start of this year. If you guys remember, at the start of this year, the Chicago Bulls went on a 5-game winning streak. They started 5-0. And people were saying the Bulls were back. And I was the one person in my community that said the Bulls are not back. The Bulls have been lucky by their opponent's 3-point shooting. Because against the Bulls in those first 5 games of the year, teams were averaging 18% from 3 in the first 5 games of the year. So the Bulls were running away with almost every game. Now, you guys might be wondering, 18%? That's got to be low, right? That was the lowest 3-point shooting streak against a team for 5 games in a row since 1982, back when they didn't even take threes. Now, you guys are probably wondering, what about the Hornets? They're on a 9-game streak right now. And in 8 of those 9 games, they have been outshooting their opponent percentage-wise as well. In fact, they've been holding them to below 24% from deep. Now, is that defense or is that unlucky shooting for their opponents? I'm willing to say it's a little bit of both. Here's the thing about the Charlotte Hornets. They like to run. They're a young team. In fact, this is the longest winning streak by any team as far as their youngest age goes in NBA history. This team is young. They like to run. They like to score in fast break. They like to score off turnovers. And that's what they're doing right now. So I believe this is my bold prediction. If the Pistons can hold the Hornets to under 15 threes, the Pistons win this game. Even if they hit 14 of them, the Pistons win this game. Now, they're without Ron Holland, who's their second best perimeter defender on their team. And that's going to be a significant miss because they're probably going to be playing Kevin Huerter in place of Ron Holland. So there goes a lot of perimeter defense that the Pistons have. So they're going to have to find their way with just Ausar, Javonte Green. If the Hornets do not hit 15 or more threes, the Pistons will win this game. If you see in the box score that the Hornets hit 15, the Hornets won the game. So the Pistons ended the 8-game winning streak of the New York Knicks on Friday. I think they can end the Hornets' 9-game winning streak as well. But here's what I'm going to say. I won't be that upset if the Pistons lose this game as a Pistons fan, because I want the Hornets to make the playoffs. I want them to make it out of the play-in and make the playoffs. I want to be able to go drive to some playoff games instead of just fly to see all of them in Detroit and elsewhere. So I'm really conflicted. Living in North Carolina, I want the Hornets to be good, but obviously the Pistons are my team. I'm never going to root against them. Ideally, I'd like the Pistons to win, but it can go either way right now. The Hornets are on fire. They're the hottest team in the NBA. If the Pistons can end their winning streak, they'll have ended an 8-game winning streak and a 9-game winning streak back-to-back games. So this should be interesting. I think the game's going to be really entertaining. Now, the Hornets are just doing everything right. I talked about it. They're doing everything right. Now, let's move on to another really good streak. The Knicks are 9-1 in their last 10 games. Now, I remember telling everybody when, the sky was falling for New York, I said they're going to come back. I said, I'm not worried about New York. I'm not worried about their losing streak. They're going to come back. They're in win now mode. They're not going to just fall. They're still a second seed. They're still only 5 games behind the Pistons for the first seed. And the Knicks are back. The Knicks are playing super, super well. As long as you ignore the loss against the Detroit Pistons, where they lost by 38 against my Pistons, which is just hilarious. Just absolutely comedic. Jalen Brunson must have been high because he shot 4 for 20. The Pistons did their things and ran them out the gym. The Pistons also had their best shooting night of the season, hitting 17 threes. But I think the biggest highlight of that game was the Pistons' stifling defense. They didn't allow the Knicks to do anything, but the Knicks bounced back and beat the Celtics on Sunday. They rocked the Celtics. Now, Knicks Twitter told Pistons fans that blowout win that the Pistons did to them doesn't matter because it's a regular season game. But then I saw Knicks Twitter celebrating beating the Celtics in the regular season. It's very confusing to me that Knicks fans tell Pistons fans to not celebrate a 40-point blowout. The Pistons have a 68 or 69 point margin of victory in the 2 games that the Pistons have played the Knicks this year. So if Pistons fans aren't allowed to celebrate beating you guys by 69 points in 2 games, why are you guys allowed to celebrate beating the Celtics? That's besides the point. The New York Knicks also added Jose Alvarado, who again is going to be a very, very crucial component to this basketball team. I really do believe that the Knicks are the best team in the East. I said that at the start of the year. I think the Cavs got better. In fact, the Cavs are only, I believe, 2.5 games out of the second seed. No, they're only 2 games out of the second seed. The Cleveland Cavaliers are only 2 games out of the second seed. So Celtics and Knicks, they got the Cavs right behind them, man. And the Raptors are still there, only 2.5 games. So the Cavs got better. I'll talk about them a little bit later, but the New York Knicks, man, I knew they'd step it back up. I mean, the sky was falling for a little bit, but we knew they'd come back. I was not worried about the New York Knicks. They are in win now mode. They have to win it all this year. Otherwise it's a failed season. So Knicks, be happy. You guys got Jose Alvarado. Your bench is playing pretty well. Yeah, you guys are the clear favorite to win the East. I genuinely believe that it should be interesting to see what they can do come playoff time. I will say it was very fun to watch Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland have Jalen Brunson in absolute prison on Friday night. That was just a joy to see. Ausar Thompson and Ron Holland forced him to shoot 4 for 20. They couldn't do anything. He couldn't do anything. He could not do anything. If you guys are bored, do me a favor and go look up the Ausar Thompson highlights defensively against the New York Knicks on Friday. It was a sight to see, man. Like, that's real defense. That is real defense. Real defense. Okay. Now we talked about the hot streaks. We talked about everything we've missed over the last week. Let's talk about other storylines around the NBA. Now, I think there's some great storylines around the NBA that I believe that you guys should follow. I'm a big believer in enjoying the sport of basketball beyond your team. It's very easy to just fall into the hate watch cesspool that you see on Twitter or TikTok. It's very easy. I like watching basketball games and enjoying the games that I'm watching. So there's some fun storylines to pay attention to. Number one, I'd like to give a special shout out to Dennis Jenkins of the Detroit Pistons. In case you guys don't know, Dennis Jenkins was converted from a two-way contract to a actual NBA player. This is huge. This is huge. Dennis Jenkins has now a 2-year NBA standard contract, and he signed a 2-year, $8 million deal with the Detroit Pistons. Dennis Jenkins will earn the highest single season conversion amount ever in NBA history for a two-way player. Now, I know people around the world miss the come out the mud storylines in the NBA. You guys remember what I'm talking about. Dennis Rodman was a janitor at an airport. Ben Wallace, undrafted, community college, doing whatever. And he, traded, and he finally got his luck, and he's the only undrafted player in NBA history. I like telling you guys things that you guys don't know. So let me teach you about Dennis Jenkins. I genuinely believe he is the newest coming out the mud story. Dennis Jenkins went undrafted in 2024, despite averaging 15 points and 5 assists at St. John's and being named the All Big East second team. He got passed over the entire NBA draft. He transferred multiple times in college, going from Hillcrest High in Dallas to Pacific, then Odessa College, and then Iona, and then finally St. John's. He started on a 2-way contract, spent most of his rookie season grinding in the G League with the Motor City Cruise, describing it as being in the trenches and having to get out the mud. He turned down his first offer 2 weeks ago from the Pistons. They offered him a 2-year minimum salary contract. And he's talking about having a chip on his shoulder. He said when he went undrafted, quote, "For me, going undrafted is insanity to me. Literally insanity. And that burns inside me every single day," end quote. He credits his family. He credits his agent. And I'll never forget Dennis Jenkins' first game with the Detroit Pistons when he played. This season, he had 24 points against the Wizards and hit that game tying 3 to send the game into overtime, that buzzer beater 3 from the corner. And I think Dennis, he plays really, really well. He doesn't seem like there's any moment too big for him. He steps up against every big team that we go up against, whether it's Denver, New York, Boston, every single one of these teams. He has had his best games of the season. So I think come playoff time, you're going to see Dennis Jenkins leading that second unit. And great move for the Pistons for getting off of Jaden Ivey and getting Dennis Jenkins. He's cheaper. He's honestly better in any facet of the imagination. Shooting 40% from 3. So shout out Dennis Jenkins. I know these are Pistons fun storylines, but I also want to give another shout out to Duncan Robinson. Duncan Robinson this year is averaging 12 points per game. He's shooting 40.1% from 3. He's hit 146 threes all season. And I think these are the two most important stats of Duncan Robinson. He has 47 stocks this year. And when he's on the court, the Pistons are plus 274. So shout out to Duncan Robinson. A plus 274 on the season. It is absolutely insanity. That's insanity. A couple other fun storylines happening around the NBA. Obviously, you have the Charlotte Hornets winning 9 straight. You have the Knicks winning 9 out of 10. And some other fun ones that you can make fun of. The Miami Heat, the Houston Rockets. They didn't make any moves, even though you thought that they needed to make moves. They thought that they didn't need to make moves. I also think the Washington Wizards are a very fun storyline for next season. The Washington Wizards have Trae Young, Anthony Davis, and Alex Sarr. This team is going to be fun. This team is going to be very fun next year. Now, I know what a lot of you guys are thinking. Jay-Z, how good can a team of Trae Young, Anthony Day-to-Day Davis, and Alex Sarr be? Well, I think their biggest thing is health. If you can get half a season for Anthony Davis, more than half a season for Trae Young, and obviously Alex Sarr has been healthy, I genuinely believe that this team can win 41 games next year. And I know you guys are probably thinking, Jay-Z, 41 games, we're going to celebrate 41 games. Yeah, I am. The Wizards haven't won 40 games, I believe, since 2018. That's all they're trying to do. They don't want to tank anymore. They want to win games. They want to sell some tickets. I'm happy for the Wizards. The Wizards will be very happy if they can make the play-in. I know that's what you guys are thinking, right? Like, who cares? If they get 41, they'll be in the play-in. Okay. That's huge. Wizards fans will care. That's huge. Miami fans will care. The Bulls fans will care. Because here's the thing. The Wizards want to do what the Miami Heat, what the Bulls have done. They want to make the play-in. The thing is, Heat fans, Bulls fans, they don't want to make the play-in. They want to make the play-in. So shout out my Wizards, man. Shout out the Washington Wizards. They got a very, very young team, and I'm very excited to see them next year. Even though I hate Trae Young, I'm very excited to watch them next year. Now, as far as the Cleveland Cavaliers go, another fun storyline. I'm scared of the Cleveland Cavaliers now. Now, we all know what's going to happen come playoff time, right? James Harden's going to have an unbelievable game one to start the playoffs. I'm going to guess his stat line right now. Game one of the playoffs, I don't know who they'll be up against, but James Harden's going to go for 31 points, 11 assists, and 6 rebounds. Just book that. Remember that. He's going to play out of his mind. They're going to win game one. They're going to get all hype. Game two, he's going to play a little worse. Game three, he's going to play a little bit worse than that. Game four, he's going to play really well. But then game five, he's going to shit the bed. Game six, he's going to shit the bed. I'm not worried about James Harden in a 7-game playoff series. He's not in shape enough. He's not young enough. He's not committed enough. And he's just not clutch enough, man. At the end of the day, James Harden will do well for you. And then come playoff time, it's not going to work out. Now, for the Cavs, I got to say, Donovan Mitchell's goal should be getting to the conference finals this year. They need to make the conference finals. With how expensive their team is, they're right below I think they're still in the second apron, actually. They need to make the conference finals. Donovan Mitchell has never been to a conference finals. There's no excuses. I genuinely believe that James Harden is going to be better than Darius Garland in this position. I think Evan Mobley is going to play better, I hope. I think Jared Allen is going to be playing a crucial role for this team as well, as the lights don't get too bright for him. I think James Harden is going to help exponentially with this basketball team as far as playmaking goes. And if he can do that, I think we got some exciting stuff to see from the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, I do have to say this. Being as good as a facilitator as Harden is, I love this comment in my Twitch stream. My Knicks fan base said if Harden can't unlock Mobley, nobody will. And I absolutely agree. This is the best playmaker that Evan Mobley has played with in his career. Other than Ricky Rubio, but he got hurt. And I'm talking star power here. James Harden is a prolific facilitator. And it's a shame that the casual people will remember James Harden as being a foul baiter and just a 3-point chucker, because something that James Harden is super underrated at is his facilitating. Like, he will go down as one of the greatest scorers ever. But I got to be honest, he is one of the best facilitators in the NBA. He's one of the best that we've had. Honestly, one of the best that I've ever seen. The shots that he creates for others is beautiful. And I genuinely think that if he can't unlock Mobley, if he can't get Mobley to be a consistent 20 and 10 guy, I don't know, man, because his pick and roll game, the way he orchestrates an offense, it's a thing of beauty. Like I said, guys, there's a lot of fun storylines around the NBA. You just got to pick one. Now, another storyline that's happening that's not positive is the Denver Nuggets. Peyton Watson went down with a grade 2 hamstring strain. And he'll probably be back right before the playoffs. That's not a good sign. I don't know if you guys have watched Nuggets games as much as I have. Peyton Watson has sucked since Jokic has come back. He has sucked since Jokic has come back. His 3-point shot that I was like bragging about, saying that last year we couldn't dream of him hitting a 3 a night, it's fully abandoned him. Fully abandoned him. Peyton Watson's shooting has been horrible ever since Jokic has come back. I'm not saying it's Jokic's fault, but it seems as though he's not playing well next to Jokic, and then he gets hurt. So they'll be getting him right before the playoffs. And unfortunately, the injury bug has completely poisoned the Denver Nuggets. And come playoff time, I might have to change the team that I have coming out of the West. They have been beat. They have been hurt. It's unfortunate, man. It's really, really unfortunate. Hopefully they can get healthy when it matters most, because I'm really rooting for the Denver Nuggets to come out of the West. Okay, Guys, those are like all the storylines I have. Now, we already talked about the Hornets. We already talked about the Knicks. We talked about like every hot streak that's going on in the NBA. Whew. Now, we're going to be playing a little game that we call the up or down report, okay? I'm going to say a topic, and I want you guys to let me know whether you are up or down on this topic. TikTok, you guys can participate as well, but I would love to see you guys come through to the Twitch stream. That's Jay-Z Uncut on Twitch. Click the profile picture, click the link in my bio, and come through to the Twitch. Here we go, guys. Are you up or down? Are you up or down on the Wizards next season? I already talked about this, but I'm going to say it again. I'm up. I'm up on the Washington Wizards next season. I don't know how you could be down on this team. I think the only way people could say that they're down is if they say that Anthony Davis is going to be hurt. Now, stop thinking about injuries. Let's just say in a perfect world, this team is healthy. I am unbelievably up. I am unbelievably up. And it depends what pick they'll get for sure. But they already have a young team. Alex Sarr looks unbelievable out there already. And you're throwing Trae Young, who's one of the best passing guards in the NBA. Also, the second worst defender in the NBA. If you guys are wondering who's the worst defender in the NBA, it's Jalen Brunson. That's undisputed by every single advanced metric in the NBA that we use that measures defense. Jalen Brunson is the absolute worst garbage defender in the NBA. And the second worst, the absolute most garbage defender is Trae Young. That's okay because he has Anthony Davis and Alex Sarr minding the paint behind him. Talk about a massive front court, man. Talk about the Twin Towers behind him. I'm up on them. I'm up. There's only one person in the TikTok that responded, and he said I'm down. This is why we don't read the TikTok chat. Come to the Twitch stream. Otherwise, you're stuck with idiots like that in there. I'm up. I'm very, very up. I think it's gonna be I think they're gonna be a very fun story next year. They got rid of the guys that they didn't want. They got rid of Chris Middleton. They got rid of CJ McCollum. They got rid of, they told D'Lo not to come, so they got rid of him as well in the trade. I'm really up on the Washington Wizards. I think they got a really fun young team next to their vets as well. Guys, look at what the Pistons did last year. They added a couple vets, and all of a sudden they started leapfrogging teams. I think that they're going to have a really fun storyline. So I am up on the Washington Wizards, and I think I really want them to be good as well. I think I fully agree with this comment in the TikTok chat as well. Believe it or not, I know those words typically never leave my mouth. But he said, if they stay healthy, I'm up. Potential 5 to 6 seed. I fully agree. If they're healthy, yeah, they're a top 5 seed in the East. I fully agree with that. Let's go on to our next topic, guys. Are you up or down on Miami and Houston not making any moves? My Twitch stream is Jay-Z Uncut. Link in my bio. It's the same name as my TikTok. Are you up or down on the Miami Heat and Houston Rockets on not making any moves? I'm surprised I see an up in there. I'm surprised. Let's talk about that, y'all. Let's talk about that. Let's talk. Because, wow, there's a lot of opinions on this. Listen, I have a Rockets fan in my Twitch chat right now, and he's screaming down. He is screaming. Let's talk about one team here. Let's start with the Rockets. The Houston Rockets did not make a single move this trade deadline. Now, I've talked about the Rockets a lot, and their biggest issue is playmaking. Playmaking and shot making. That's it. That's it. Their defense is good. They're number 1 in rebounding. They're 9th in steals, 4th in blocks, 8th in field goals made, 8th in 3-point percentage. But you didn't address your point guard situation. Guys, I got to be honest. If the Houston Rockets, if the season were to end right now, they'd be playing the Los Angeles Lakers. Am I taking the Rockets over the Lakers? The fact that I have to ask that, no, I'm not. I can't confidently tell you that. Because when I think about who has the best player on the court, it's between Durant or Doncic in that series. But the issue is They have the biggest offensive liability in the NBA, and they don't know how to use them. I don't know why. Ime Udoka isn't watching what JB Bickerstaff is doing with Asar Thompson, but he is letting their offense soil. I think that Rockets win against Oklahoma might have saved their season, because had they lost to Oklahoma, that would have been a losing streak. That would have been a bad losing streak. And I think Ime Udoka will be on the hot, like if he wasn't on the hot seat already, I think he's on the hot seat there. I'd like to give a special shout out to Sage for leaving the TikTok stream and coming to the Twitch stream. I appreciate you a lot, Sage. Welcome on in, bro. I truthfully cannot understand how the Houston Rockets did not make a move. You needed a guard. Ayo Dosunmu went for nothing from the Bulls. Anthony Simons went for nothing. Jaden Ivey went for nothing. You just needed a playmaker. You just needed somebody to bring the ball up the court. That's it. And you didn't address that. Could they get involved in the buyout market? Maybe. Is a buyout market player going to make the move that they need? Guys, I'm sorry, but no. It's very rare. Can you guys name me one player that got picked up in a buyout market that led to an NBA championship? I can think of one. Lindsey Hunter for the Detroit Pistons in 2004. The Pistons, when they traded for Rasheed Wallace, involved their backup point guard, Lindsey Hunter, in that trade, knowing that he was going to get waived. He got waived after they traded him, so the Pistons picked him up the very next day, just like what Minnesota just did with Mike Conley. They traded Mike Conley to the Chicago Bulls for Ayo Dosunmu, knowing that the Chicago Bulls would waive Mike Conley, and they picked up Mike Conley again. So that is the only buyout player that I can remember in my life that led to an NBA championship. And it's not like Lindsey Hunter carried them to win an NBA championship. He's just a backup point guard. He played when Chauncey sat. So my point being, it's very worrisome for the Houston Rockets come playoff time, because what they struggle with most is the hardest thing to come up with in the playoffs. Offense. Offense. Guys, offense is the hardest thing imaginable in the playoffs. These teams that you see hitting 23s a night, that shit ain't going to fly in a 7-game series unless you have the playmaking. So, my Boston Celtics fans, I regret to inform you that play style, zero playmaking, ISO ball, three-point chucking is not going to work. My Suns fans, that ISO ball, three-point chucking, it works now. That does not work in the playoffs. My Houston Rockets, the lack of offense and playmaking does not work in the playoffs. You need somebody to run a half-court offense in the playoffs, because you know what doesn't happen in the playoffs? Fast break opportunities. And if you're not running, then what easy buckets are you getting? Let's move on to the Miami Heat, why I'm also down on them not making a move. Miami Heat, the Miami Heat, they're always in trade conversations, but they never quite get it. They were in trade discussions for Damian Lillard. They didn't get him. They were in trade conversations for Paul George when he was in his prime. They didn't get him. They were in trade talks for Giannis. They didn't get him. They were in trade talks for Carmelo Anthony. They didn't get him. I believe what this team did, they put all of their chips on the table for Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Giannis said, yeah, I don't really want to go there. So he didn't go. The Miami Heat can never get a deal done. Ever. They can't. They can never get a deal done. And this trade deadline, they didn't get one done either. They didn't get Kevin Durant. They didn't want to settle for Ja Morant. Or sorry, they didn't get Giannis Antetokounmpo. They didn't want to get Ja Morant. So now they're stuck with Tyler Hero. They're stuck with, Bam Adebayo was going to be there regardless. And they're going to crawl into the play-in. And they're not going to, here's the thing. The Heat right now would play the Detroit Pistons. They would play the Pistons. Come on. They're always close games against the Heat for the Pistons. But like I said, the hardest thing to come by in the playoffs is offense. And the thing that is the best and most resilient is defense. So if you have a good defensive team, chances are you're going to go pretty far in the playoffs as long as you have at least an average offense, right? And unfortunately for the Miami Heat, they didn't make a move. They didn't make a move. So Heat fans, I was told by my big Heat fan, Beezy, shout out Bees, I was told that they would end up being a 3rd seed and that he would build a team around Bam Adebayo over Cade Cunningham. The Miami Heat are not a 3rd seed. And you would not build, any sane person would not build a team around Bam Adebayo instead of Cade Cunningham. So the Miami Heat and the Rockets, I'm down on that. There's just not a move in the world that I could see them make and somehow make them better again. We'll see. Maybe they'll be in the Giannis sweepstakes in the summer. I genuinely believe that something must have happened. But if Giannis does get traded, I think Miami is a top 2 spot. I think Miami's a top 2 spot that Giannis will get traded to. So, hey, might not all be over. This season's over, though. That's undisputed. Guys, let's move on to our final up or down report. Guys, final one. Are you up or down on the Bulls and Clippers blowing it up? Now, I think you guys know my opinion on this. They're one of the teams that I bully the most as far as franchises go, as far as teams go. Finally, the Chicago Bulls have blown it up. Now they have 100 guards on the team. I love every move the Bulls did except for forcing Benny the Bull to change his number. That's right. Benny the Bull now is going to be wearing number 99. Can you believe that? Because they retired D Rose's number. That's a big L. But as far as the franchise goes, shout out to the Chicago Bulls. I can't believe I'm saying this unironically. I usually say this ironically because I'm making fun of the Bulls. But I'm actually saying this unironically. Shout out the Chicago Bulls, man. You know what the biggest thing about this is? They're out of the play-in right now. Only by a game, but they're out of the play-in. They're out. They're free. The shackles have been broken. They're blowing it up. I would like to remind everybody of a little fun fact that I'm sure Bulls fans try to pretend that wasn't a thing. Do you guys remember last year when the Bulls, made the play-in? If the Bulls missed the play-in last year, they have Cooper Flag. I gotta say that one more time. If the Bulls missed the play-in last year, they get Cooper Flag. Sorry, Bulls fans. I'm sorry. But I think that truly had an impact on this franchise. Seeing a generational talent go to a team that he did not belong with in the Dallas Mavericks. Could y'all have imagined Cooper Flag on the Chicago Bulls? As a non-Chicago Bulls fan, oh my God. Like, in case you guys don't know, the Bulls have the most recognizable sports logo in the entire world. As far as any team goes, they make the most money on merch across the entire globe. They are the most sold, most faked, most bought sports logo in the entire world. Everybody knows the Chicago Bulls. If they had gotten Cooper Flag, do you understand that would have been like the next Michael Jordan-esque hype for a player if he was wearing the white and red? Chicago Bulls, man, y'all know my opinion on this team. They have been stuck in mediocrity. Jerry Reinsdorf did not want to rebuild. He wanted to just continue selling tickets and making money. And now he finally admitted, okay, it's time we blow it up. It's time. It's time. I'm telling y'all, that 5-game win streak that I talked about earlier in today's episode, had that gone on any longer, had they not had a monumental collapse immediately after that, we'd be having different conversations right now. Shout out to the Chicago Bulls for finally moving on. It was too late. Definitely too late, but they got some draft picks. They got a bunch of second round picks. You know, it's so funny. They didn't get any first round picks for any of their trades because they held on to them too long. They held on to Kobe White 1 year, too long. They held on to Nikola Vucevic for 2 years, too long. Or 3 years, too long. They held on to Ayo Dosunmu for too long. They held on to all of their players that they traded for far too long. They didn't get a single first round pick in any of these trades, just second round picks. So even though they blew it up, oh yeah, they didn't even get all the second round picks because Kobe White is hurt. That's right. So even though I'm crediting them for blowing it up, I'm also pouring more gasoline into the fire because too little, too late. But it's better late than never. Am I right? Now, as far as the Clippers go, they still managed to win last night in Minnesota. So that's why I'm using the word blow it up in quotes. Bro, I don't know what to say, man. The Clippers have been the hottest team in the NBA, the actual hottest team in the NBA since December 20th. And they're still winning. They traded James Harden. They traded Ivica Zubac. Brook Lopez is playing that many minutes on a night, and yet they're still winning right now. Brook Lopez is playing 30 minutes a night for this franchise. A guy named Yannick Conan Nidenhauser. I gotta say that again because I've never seen this name before, and I've watched Clippers games this year. Yannick Conan Nidenhauser, who's averaging 3.5 points per game and 2 rebounds. He's playing 20 minutes in a game. StatMuse doesn't even have a picture of this guy. Who is this guy? I actually got to look. Have I seen this guy before? Oh, that's him? I was thinking of a white guy. Okay. Well, yeah, I know who this guy is. The Clippers have still won. They're still winning. They're still blowing it up. I would be very surprised if the Clippers make it into the playoffs. I would be very surprised. Here's the thing. If they're in the play-in, then I fully expect Kawhi Leonard to cook and drag them into the playoffs. But what the fuck is the point? Are we really going to watch Shea, Chet, and J-Dub just absolutely mutilate the Clippers in 4 games? Is there any point in that? I don't see any point in doing that. But I do got to give credit where credit is due. Kawhi arguably looks like the best player in the NBA right now. I'm not saying like up for MVP voting, but can you guys just watch Kawhi Leonard? Bro, he looks like the best, like he genuinely looks like the best player in the NBA right now. Just he's so mechanical and he's just so damn good. Kawhi Leonard is having his healthiest year in God knows how long, and he still looks like the best player in the world. I'm not even kidding. He's just that good at basketball. He is that good at basketball. Kawhi Leonard is in the All-Star game. He is a reserve, but he's averaging 28 points per game, 6.5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, half a block, 50% from the field, 39% from 3, and 92% from the free throw line. Damn near 50, 40, 90. So yeah, I mean, I'm up on both these guys blowing it up, man. I'm up. I'm beyond up. I am beyond up. Now, guys, ladies and gents, that is going to conclude it for our return episode. We have been gone all last week because of my flu. So I would like to apologize to everybody again for missing all of last week. I would like to say, I know you guys are thinking that we're back. We're not going to miss any days, but I'm here to tell y'all right now as we end today's episode, we might not be here tomorrow. I'm not going to get back home until about 12:30 at night, maybe 1 in the morning. Because I am going to the Pistons Hornets game tonight. So I'm letting everybody know in advance, podcast listeners, TikTok watchers, YouTube watchers, my beautiful Twitch chat. You guys know I love y'all. Twitch chat, stick around. Don't go anywhere. We will probably not be here tomorrow, but daily episodes will be returning on Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. All right. I'm letting everybody know that right now. Daily episodes will return Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Well, Twitch, we go live at 8:30 a.m. Eastern, but the podcast starts at 9. You guys all understand that. You guys all know that. Twitch chat, stick around. TikTok, YouTube. Hope you all have a blessed rest of your day. If you guys want more stream, be sure to come through to the Twitch stream right now. That's Jay-Z Uncut. It's the same name on TikTok, on Twitch. The link is in my bio. Podcast listeners, be sure to leave a 5-star rating and review. I'll catch y'all Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. Be sure to check out the podcast. Leave all those reviews, drop likes on the YouTube, sub all that. Yeah, I got nothing left to say except for thank you for being here. Thank you for being you. And as always, guys, thank you for watching and listening. I'll see y'all Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. Eastern. TikTok, be sure to swing right on in to the Twitch stream.